Welcome, everybody. I'm Misty Beryle, the owner of Mindful Living Wellness Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, a place to bring intentional healing and balance through physical, mental, and emotional care. Our goal is to help you in your journey through education of self sustaining tools such as talk therapy, life coaching, emotional wellness, mindful yoga, and any variety of healing and wellness. Our purpose for these podcasts are to share information about staying well, however that may look like for you, our listener. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Please Wash Your Hands. Today we're going to be speaking with Allie Eileen, one of our therapists here at Mindful Living. Allie, tell us a little bit about what you do here at Mindful Living.
Hi, Misty. Um, so what I do at Mindful Living is I work in ways of empowered wellness. So I help people find sustainable self-care through either education or maybe through trauma-informed yoga or perhaps even life coaching. So those are just a few things that I have going at Mindful Living.
Awesome. We love having you here. Tell us what sustainable self care looks like. Like what it is kind of self explanatory in a way, but at the same time, I know
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it. Like, so define what that sustainable self care is.
Yeah, this is a great question because I think just at first glance you think, oh yeah, I might know what that looks like, but I really like to unpack this. So, first off, I would just like to kind of define what sustainable is. Um, so, sustainable is a way or a method of harvesting or using a resource that doesn't deplete or damage another resource. And in this case, you are the resource, right? So we want something that's constantly replenishing. So with self care, you want the self care to be constantly replenishing you and not depleting from other places in your life. So when I say sustainable self care, it's something that's replenishing and not permanently damaging anything else in your life. So that's kind of a big start to what sustainable self care is. I think it's actually maybe easier to start with what self care is because there's
True.
so many different kinds of self care, right? Um,
Well, I mean, I wash my hair, I brush my teeth, like I take care of myself physically, or maybe I work
yeah,
out. So I think we
exactly.
all have a really good, just society, I think, maps out what self care looks like just from our upbringing of, proper hygiene and whatnot. But
Yes.
from what I know of you, this is a little bit more internal of inside self.
Yeah. So I've just always thought of each of us as a bucket, right? Um, we have so much that we're trying to give out all day long to
Yeah.
people, to work, to our family, to everyone, and we really have to have a full bucket before we can dish out and hand anything else out to anyone. And so, really filling up first with self care is so important to be able to do the things that we want to in life to give to our people.
You know what's interesting? I've often used that analogy of like my cup
Mm-hmm.
isn't full. I don't feel like I can give back because my cup's not full. I've used that often with my partner in my life or whatnot. But I have always, I just kind of had an epiphany as you were saying that. I have always thought about other people are filling my cup. I haven't received enough love from you, honey. I don't feel like I can give back. I haven't had that filled. Like you haven't filled my bucket. I've always turned that outward. I have never had the my brain wrap around the fact that I can fill my bucket or my cup or however that looks. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is so cool.
And I love that you're just kind of having that aha moment right now because I think that's what empowered self-care is that you have the choice to do it for yourself. You're the one who's empowered. You have the choice and you get to decide how you create your self-care. Um, and part of that is um, I think honestly knowing that you're worthy to say what your needs are to meet your needs, to fill your bucket, that kind of self-care. Um, so yeah, before we go further, I kind of want to explain what I have used or envisioned in my life for self-care. I think of self-care comes in a couple different packages, right? We have escape self-care, which might look more like it's summertime, we get to go on vacation from all the things we do in our daily life.
Oh, I was thinking running
Um,
away. I like to run away from my problems.
yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Right. But it's important to have those times where we do get to run away and we get to
Really?
escape. That, isn't that replenishing when you go on vacation?
That is true.
Generally we're getting something that we want, or we look forward to something, that we get to share with other people, or maybe it's just for ourselves. But that's like an escape for a little while, right? You're taking a vacation. It could be even, for some of us, it's splurging on a massage. It's, allowing ourselves the chocolate cupcakes and the wine. It's those extra things that are just more of like, oh, I really need a break from everything. I don't want to think about anything, and just, really just giving yourself an escape. Okay,
I've.
so that's, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting you. I've often thought with mindfulness, and I know that we're going to jump into a little bit of that in going forward, but I've never, again, a little epiphany, associated allowing my escape process or thoughts that it's okay. Like, it's okay. I need to escape. It's okay. It's okay to go outside and go for a walk and just step away for a minute. I know that sounds kind of silly, but like that, wow, this is the podcast of epiphanies. Maybe we will just label it Epiphany Podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Okay. So
But I love that, because that's a huge part of our society is permission piece to take care of ourselves. One of my favorite quotes is from Cleo Wade in her book called Heart Talk. And it says, read it for you. It says, our world often tells us that there is something wrong with needing something or someone, or that expressing our needs is somehow a sign of weakness. This is completely untrue. Knowing our needs is a superpower, one that can help us make all the big decisions in life. Respecting and expressing your needs can superpower your life. Start by recognizing them. I love this quote because she really kind of is just bringing to light, like, our society doesn't say it's okay to meet your needs, to give yourself permission to say, I am going to go escape on vacation and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to go gather what I need because I need it, and I shouldn't feel guilty or have any shame or, guilt. I keep saying that, but it's true.
I think we do associate a lot of our feelings and our choices with guilt. And I think that's almost an enemy of self-care is guilt. I think that when I was talking with Kelly, one of our therapists, in one of our first podcasts, we talked about worry and how it's healthy, but there's good worry that helps our minds recognize, okay, I need to approach this a certain way, or I need to react a certain way, or take care of myself. And then there's bad worry that just causes anxiety and problems. And I would almost say the same with guilt. It's there like a rear view mirror if you were driving a car of life. Like, it's there to know what happened, what can I change, how can I be better, where have I been? But
right.
If we wallow in the guilt, it's like if you were to stare in a rearview mirror while driving a car, you'd wreck. You wouldn't know where you're going. You wouldn't be able to use that information properly. You would just stay stuck.
Right. It's almost like you would give that guilt control of your life, which disempowers you, right? So giving any guilt or sugars, sometimes I call them, takes the control right out of that.
That's cool.
So another type, so we talked about escape self-care, so just the escape, which that's great. So and often we plan for that, we allow it, we can give ourselves permission for it. It can also go to an unhealthy place where we actually use that. And at this point, I don't know that I would call it self-care, but escaping life with addiction of some form, through, all different kinds of avenues. And so I think sometimes I would be curious as to what the escape self-care, what's behind it, and where is that going? And then on the other side, a different type of self-care is what I call the sustainable self-care. So you're not depleting or taking anything away from anyone else or yourself. You're replenishing, you're giving back, and you are the resource there. So sustainable self-care is more of that daily parenting self-care. It's taking your vitamins, it's eating your vegetables, it's exercising, it's doing the physical and mental and emotional work so that you can be the person you want to be every day in life, right? So empowering yourself to fill your bucket up every day so that at the end of the day, your bucket is still full, even though you probably have dished out all day long, possibly to other people, places, um, other areas of your life. One quote by Ethan Summerman from the Tiny Buddha blog. He says, self-care is parenting yourself. It's cleaning your room by the time your family returns home, not having candy for dinner, getting lessons in how to make a solid pasta, kissing boo-boos. It's going into your room and thinking about what you've done and continue to do, not as a practice of shaming or punishment, but as a practice of self-awareness and understanding the consequences of your actions. Self-care means pausing and paying attention. It's asking yourself a lot of questions. How am I? What's working? What's not working? Why am I stressed, sad, mad, overwhelmed, feeling ashamed? What can I change? Sometimes I pause, check in with myself, and realize the thing I need right now to relieve some pressure from my life is a hot bath and a glass of wine. Perfect. Escape can be self-care, but sometimes I pause, check in with myself, and what I really need is to pay attention. I am forced to recognize that I'm living right now isn't cutting it. Let me read that last sentence. Escape can be self-care, but sometimes I pause, check in with myself, and when I really pay attention, I am forced to recognize that the way I am living right now isn't cutting it. Again, that quote is by Ethan Summerman.
That's beautiful.
I think the biggest thing for sustainable self-care is a little bit what we talked about before, and that's allowing yourself to meet your own needs, that permission piece. Society really doesn't give that piece to us. We have to fight for it, I feel like.
Yeah.
At least I have in my life.
I would agree.
And
I think there's the misconception that guilt and shame force positive change, and I disagree. I don't feel like it's that's a very old way of thinking, one could say, and I feel like that allowing these feelings, allowing the escape, allowing yourself to feel a certain way so that you can learn from it, checking in with yourself, these things create those positive changes, and it's definitely maybe a revolution for us in our generation, but not necessarily the beginning of the revolution. But I definitely feel like it's picked up more speed. You could say that more people are realizing, more people are kind of coming out of the old way of thinking, you know, that old conditioning and the old ways that this certain way worked. Like, if I'm going to be real, so my dad, the way he was raised, you know, is very abrupt, and this is just, you don't cry, and there's just certain ways you do things, and there's a lot of controversy, of course, with does that work, does this way work, that we're kind of chatting about. And really, I guess what it comes down to, one could say that it's whatever works best for you. But I will say this, in all of my learnings and I want to say awareness, but just what I've seen, the self-awareness, the self-care, the mindfulness is the one thing that promotes steady, consistent, healthy mind. You know, and it was the aspect for me that really started my true healing in my mind. And so I guess that's why it carries so much weight with me, is because I've seen it firsthand how it helps.
Yeah, totally. I love what you said in there about for you personally, because I think self-care is so personal. And like perhaps with your dad and that generation, they were told to put a blanket of this is what self-care looks like for everyone or does not. Here's permission granted or not given, in ways that you should or should not take care of yourself. But I agree, it's the awareness. And it really, I think mindfulness is a huge piece to self-care, because mindfulness is just paying attention on purpose in the moment to what is going on for you. And if you can, create a pause, a space for you to say, what is going on with me? Why do I feel angry, sad? Why am I craving X, Y, and Z? Why do I keep doing this one habit? If you can pause and step back and just look at it, become aware of what's going on, then you'll actually become aware of a need that probably is not being met in the moment. And the more awareness you have about your needs, your individual needs, then the more empowered you'll be in taking care of your own need. So this is really that huge piece of sustainable self-care. It's okay, I have a body, I have emotions, feelings, and needs because I'm a human. I'm unique, and I'm totally worthy and deserving of meeting my needs right now in the best way that I can, when I pay attention and when I notice what I need. In what way can I meet that need right now? Right? So then you shift into your needs, your decisions, and then it's very empowering to really give yourself permission to say, oh, this is what I need, and I'm going to give myself that. So.
Let me paint a little picture to our listeners of maybe what that could look like as an analogy that everybody could relate to. Because I mean, I love analogies. I've mentioned in previous podcasts, like I always see things visually. But anyway, if you step back and think about a pain in your leg that you have, physical pain, and it's hurting. Sometimes people will ignore it and keep going, and they'll just ignore it, and we consider that tough. And what happens if that was a cut that is now getting infected because you didn't take the time to step back, assess the pain, what's going on, why am I hurting? Oh my goodness, there's a slice on my leg. And you could take that to any extent of how damaging it is, and everybody I'm sure is relating on their own level. But if you stop and take a look physically and assess, this is exactly, I believe, what Ali is saying, that, just as important as our physical bodies are and we take care of them is our inside, our self, and our self-care of what's causing this pain or what's causing, everything that you had just said. But I was thinking about that analogy, and I'm like, everybody could relate to that. Everybody could relate to, I have a scratch and it hurts, and you figure it out. Sometimes you don't even know that you scratched yourself or cut or some type of damage, whatever it may be. But the assessing and the stopping and seeing what's going on, asking the questions, you can then take care of the problem. And just as we do physically with our body. So that's my little analogy for what you just said.
I love it. Yeah, it's so true. If we don't pay attention, it just grows and grows and festers and becomes some huge problem and a big weight, something that might actually stop that person from living the life they want or tend to who they really are, to really thrive and flourish and grow. And how sad would that be? That, I wouldn't want that for anybody. So I think, it's so, I just want to add a little piece into the mindfulness, the paying attention part, because it is such a practice. There is no perfection in this. And because we're human, we tend to judge ourselves. So that moment we say, I have a cut, often we go to, why do I have a cut? It's probably because of this and this. And, we get angry. I shouldn't have done this thing. I should have worn pants. We go that route of judging ourselves rather than being curious. Oh my gosh, I got a cut. What happened? How did that happen? I'm wondering what's going on. What do I need? What might help it? Going that kind, curious route, just being curious, versus the, ugh, I have so much. This started from when I was 2. I would have had a problem. I would have noticed this because, like we can go down this just route of just really being mean to ourselves. Or if we can give enough pause to be curious in the moment, just gathering information without making judgment. And it's a process, it's a practice. It's, the more you do it, um, the easier it will come. But
I have a
don't judge
challenge.
yourself if you don't. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I have a challenge for myself.
Yes.
I am
What?
notorious for hitting my hands on doorknobs or kitchen cabinet knobs. I mean, you
Mm.
name it. If it's within I mean, I'm 5'10", so my hands are right at the length or the height of knobs. And I would be taking a corner, and when I was a kid, and I'd whack my hand on something, and my dad would be like, "Watch what you're doing," and really just, I mean, I love my dad, and he is a teddy bear, but just to give him the benefit of the doubt there. Also, his upbringing, shadowed onto the way he handled things as far as pain goes. So it was like, watch what you're doing. And he'd get frustrated with me. And so I'd get mad at myself whenever I would get hurt. And I just did this Sunday. I was walking through my kitchen and we replaced the knobs on our drawers on the island. And they're the pulls. So there's a circular thing. Anyways, my thumb, the base of my thumb, right where the opposable thumb spot, it just got nailed and I have a bruise still. But all day Sunday, I was like, oh, it hurts. And I was kind of mad at myself, right? And as you were saying this, I thought, okay, I've got a challenge. This is a specific thing that I can focus on. Um, where when I do it, because unfortunately I have to say when, because it's something I can't stop. I'm almost 40 and I still do it. But when I do it, I am going to be more curious. I wonder what had me so distracted that I took that corner too fast. Or I wonder why I didn't see, or I don't know, just ask myself these questions and see where that leads me. Because I've heard you talk about this before and I love it. And I want to implement it in my life. And sometimes when I'm in just regular emotional thoughts or I get hurt emotionally, I don't quite have the habit down of asking myself these questions. So I thought I'm going to take this to an actual physical thing that I know that happens often and try and practice that. I'm excited for this. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know how it goes. But yeah, just inviting yourself really to, okay, next time this thing happens, I'm going to create a pause, whether that's a breath or a thought. You just literally try and imagine creating a space from the moment it happens and just noticing what you're feeling in your body physically. There's probably pain. Notice if an equal sign shows up. This is something I've been playing around with is, an equal sign. Did that thought, feeling, or situation immediately send an equal sign? Like that equals bad, that equals
Mm.
this. But rather just creating a big breath, a space, a pause, rather than letting that equal sign come in and tell me exactly what that meant, right? But really just saying, oh, curious. So, and also with any physical, really any kind of pain or physical, mental, emotional, we often push it away, right? Nope, don't want to go there. We resist it. Really, if we tend it like a small child, both of us are moms, we have kids, and our kid gets hurt, we turn to it. What do you need? Are you okay? What happened? And it might sound a little silly, but doing that same thing to ourselves. Oh, are you okay? What happened? What do you need? You
Hmm.
find you find out what you need, and there, boom, self-care, right?
I love it. Yes.
So
So would you say sustainable self-care looks like practicing? So would if I were to take some of this knowledge and practice it, would that then be sustainable, or is the fact that we are able to do it for ourselves the sustainable part?
that's a good question. I'm gonna pose that question back at you. What do you think?
I was thinking about if I were to take nourishing foods on purpose. So I have juice cappies that I take that are like little powdered things that all of my vitamins are in, right? In their whole food form. So that makes me feel good because I know that I'm putting good things in my body. So I take that to take care of myself. And I feel like I could say that's causing my body, how do I put this into words? So I'm putting something into my body that's going to help my body heal on its own better, right? It's going to take care of itself. So I look at that as, by doing this, it's sustainable because it's creating that chain reaction. Is that a fair statement to say, like a chain reaction is almost like sustainable? I'm digging really deep into the word. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, I see that. Um, I guess for me more so, and not that yours, I mean, your clarification is true for you, and I think it's also true for me. Yeah, you're looking for ways to sustain yourself daily. You know, if that's what you need, then that's what you're setting yourself up for. I kind of like to think of these moments of, say, you walk into the kitchen, you hit your hand on the handle, you take pause and notice, like, gosh, um, this really hurts. You know, you take a moment to pause and just notice what you need and what you really need. Once you turn towards it, maybe you realize your body just wants to soften and you want it to be held by the other hand. Or maybe you realize you want, some ice on it. So you offer that to it. And so that is the sustaining part. So you always have it available. You're always turning towards what you need. And then in some way, and this is a little tip here, I think of self-care like a pocket. Okay. So in some way, I can say that you needed ice, but you were out of ice, right?
Okay.
So, so then you get to decide, well, I don't have ice, but what else could I do? That's where we pull in our like creativity, our resiliency. I don't have ice, but I have cold water. So I'm going to offer help and my need with cold water. I kind of think as sustainable self-care as in pockets.
Okay.
So some days I have yoga pants that have like the smallest little pocket, which holds a chapstick. And some days I have like hiking pants on that have cargo packets, one on every thigh, and just I can fit so much in there, right? Depending what I need that day, depending what I have available, that's how much self-care I can give. So if I'm needing something, say I'm hungry and I need a hug, that's what I've recognized. I paused, I realized I'm kind of hangry, I didn't eat breakfast, and I'm feeling upset because so and so, didn't respond. And what I really need is some food and a hug. But if I'm in the middle of work and I don't have an opportunity to go get my lunch and I'm not with anybody that I trust to give me a hug, I check out my pockets. Do I have cargo size pockets? No, because it's not my lunch time and there's no one there that I trust to give me a hug. Do I have a little tiny pocket in my yoga pants? Yeah, that's as much as I have for self-care. So what I realize I have a granola bar in my bag and I give myself a hug. So adjusting in the moment to the size of what you can. So you're always meeting your needs in whatever way that you can. And that way is going to change from day to day, moment to moment, but you're having to be aware of what you need. Give yourself permission to meet the need in the best way that you can right then.
So what I'm hearing is sustainable self-care comes from within. You gather the knowledge, the things that you've learned and continue to learn, because it is important to maybe even make new pockets. But you
Yes.
take that knowledge and
A
you
fanny
are,
pack.
yes, you're giving yourself the care that you need, and that is sustainability. It's because it comes from within, from the things that you gather along the way. And just a little side note, I have been around Allie when she's taught us how to do self hugs, and they're amazing and they're real. The physical touch of your hand to your face is real. So if all you have is your own self hug, it's okay to hold yourself. But I love that. And I'm really glad, even though my mind might have wandered a little bit outside of the, the realm, that you were able to describe that to us and really show us what that looks like and how we can see that sustainable self-care truly comes from within, but not to discount all the things that we gather along the way. And like, honestly, I would go to you and learn some of these things. I mean, I've learned so much just in the 30 minutes that we've been chatting. And so I'm excited. I'm so excited for people to come and learn about how to take care of themselves. And it's okay to gather information and how to do that. It's okay to do it yourself. It's okay to, I mean, really, and I probably say it every podcast, change is the one constant. You can always count on change. So if you embrace that, I guess in a mindfulness aspect, it's okay. Allow it and don't fight it. Then, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. 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 Thanks, Misty.
Well, I'm really glad that you were able to sit down with me. We've been doing a lot of virtual podcasts, so it's via the screen, but I'm really glad that we were able to chit chat and discuss these things. And thank you for sharing all of the awesome knowledge that you have on this subject. And if anybody, I did this with Dory and I realized I'm like, yeah, I need to let people know. But if anybody is interested to sit down with Allie, or even if you're a little worried to go out just yet, I know she has some virtual things, but check out her services on our website, www.mindutah.com, and see what she has to offer. And thanks again, Allie, for being with us. We hope you've been inspired, encouraged, and learned a little bit about what mindfulness looks like. Everybody, have a mindful week.